All right, so let's see what's rocking. Okay. So what I have to do, I have to fix this. Not too much fixing today, actually. Um, Everything was done pretty well yesterday. So as you can see today, our topic is politics and money. We'll do some reviews of some videos. I just need to put that on the screen. Ooh, let me see. Can I just do that? Hmm. Here we go. So, this is what we're going to be listening to for a spell, You know what I mean? Yeah, so what took me so long to get on was my monitor finally came, and it wasn't that difficult to set up, but I have to do it by myself. So I'm up there holding the screen with one arm and trying to screw it into the VESA mount joints with the other. Oh, wait. Yeah, so it was interesting. Making sure I didn't touch the screen so hard to mess up any pixels and making sure I didn't drop it. And this one doesn't have like a lot of bezels. It actually looks smaller than my other monitors, which is crazy. My biggest monitor looks like it's the BenQ joint because I got one BenQ that I'm gaming on. I have a ViewSonic, which actually ViewSonic was my first PC monitor actually. When I built my first PC type joint, back in the days. But I do that for like graphic design. This joint only has like 65 hertz. The BenQ has 144, and I think the new monitors, the Scepter, has like 160 something, 165 or something like that. But it was nice and cheap. Uh-oh, what's going on here? Okay. So the new Spectre monitor, I don't know. We'll see how long it lasts, but it only costs like $100 and something. So all right. So let's listen to what's up. This is Politics and Money. How Democrats, liberals, and media and the AAPI community lied on Black Americans during the pandemic. Not sure if I want to see this because I know what this is basically about. I think it's like the Black on Asian crime or something like that, which I don't know, you really don't see that in New York at least.
Well, tonight on the podcast, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to take a little trip back in time a few years ago during the pandemic. During the pandemic, they were a rise in attacks on Asian Americans. Every time we looked up, we saw news reports talking about Asians being attacked and saying it was a major epidemic at the time.
Yeah.
And we were blamed for it. Black Americans were blamed for attacking Asians.
Especially someone who lived in Cambodia.
We were propagandized. We was, we was the most horrible people Japanese. In the United States of America. We noticed a trend at the time here, definitely in the Black media, that these attacks kept coming out of California and New York. Not all over the country. Just focus on those two liberal states. And we saw what happened later. But let's get into...
In New York, there's two things. Since the early 90s, there's always been an Asian lady walking around selling DVDs. I don't know why she's still doing it in the age of streaming, But there is a lady that still does it in the hood, right? There's always chop shops, Chinese food stores. If not every block, every 3 blocks in a black neighborhood on the real. So, all right. So black dudes, you know, ghetto ass peeps can come in and act rude. Like, they ask for stuff I don't even understand. They be like, yo, I want some fried rice, hold the scallions, yo, blah, 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 blah. I'm like, okay, whatever, real picky. But, it's, you know, I get my boneless chicken and garlic sauce and pork fried rice. That's my drink right now. Right now. Been like that forever. That's food of the gods right there. So anyway, so I didn't understand where it was coming from. You know what I mean? But the problem is you got a lot of loony peeps that were released in New York City. Man, yo, homeless joints is mad crazy out here in New York, kid. Crazy. That's how come I don't understand why they got the illegals coming in, because you got a homeless situation y'all can't deal with, and now you're adding to that by adding people who are coming here. I don't understand. I don't know where the money. Oh yeah, I do know where the money coming from. They're raising taxes on tolls. They're raising they're raising fines for driving. Luckily in Manhattan, you don't really have to drive, so it's not really going to affect most people in Manhattan. But for the Brooklyn Queens and a lot of the Bronx peeps, especially Staten Island peeps, oh yeah, they gonna be up in there shilling out the cash. You know what I mean? So, oh yeah, and they're raising rents. So they raising rents on people too. I don't know how they expect peeps to stay in this city, man. Especially when peeps is like, yo, I'm out, kid. Especially after the pandemic. I don't know, man. Mad peeps left the city and moved down to Florida, went to Connecticut and stuff like that. I don't know. I'm lucky. Family got a house. But I know mad peeps aren't on that luck tour. You know what I mean? All right, let's keep going.
To just building up our evidence and talking about who's the real perpetrator of attacking Asian people. And then we also going to address the Asian community as well after we talk about this. So a Dr. Janelle Wong.
And you got to remember, this is interesting because which Asian groups are they talking about? Because if you look at last year and you saw, what's his name? Oh my gosh, the freak is this ex-rapper's name is? Asian freaking... He's the Asian dude who shot another Asian rapper. Then he went around tasting food, doing food reviews, and then he made up with the Asian rapper he shot at. They were both Chinese type joints. Freaking then most recently had beef with the dude that was accused of being a pedo and got arrested in Colombia, but then, like, you know, venerated himself or whatever like that, I guess. Who knows? But oh man, I used to appreciate dude too. Can't believe I can't remember his name. Oh, China Mac. I forgot my name. So China Mac went and was chowing down with the freaking Cambodians, and I think it was like Atlanta or something like that. Cause the dude they had beef with, that got arrested in Colombia, was like, yo, you can't come to Atlanta, and China Mac was like, I'm going to Atlanta. He was hanging out with man Cambos and black peeps is like this, kid. Like this, especially in the United States. In Cambodia, it's almost like this, but there's not that many black peeps that are in Cambodia like that, you know what I mean? But I have Cambo fam in Cambodia. Not really in the United States, because there's not really any Cambos around here. Mostly around here is like Dominicans. But yeah, so I didn't understand that. So I'm wondering what Asian group they're talking about, because I don't like talking about, because not all Asians are alike. Not even all Southeast Asians are alike. Koreans aren't like Japanese peeps. They not like Chinese peeps. Freaking Cambodians are different than Thais and Vietnam. And you don't want to call a Cambo a Vietnamese or a Vietnamese a Cambo. And Philippines is different than all of them. So, you know, when people just use the race thing, which I understand why they do it, because it's easier to just call it like that. And he's not saying that because he's saying that. It's the people who are accusing other people of saying, oh, there's Asian hate. But I didn't see any Cambos getting beat up. I didn't see Filipinos getting beat up. So I'm wondering what nationality these peeps are. So let's keep going.
She put out a report I think maybe about 2 years ago, that talked about who is the true perpetrator. What we want to do, we're going to just head over to look at some things, because we want to give you all the knowledge we have, I said, before we really start going in. So let's check that out.
Oh, yeah. And we will be going in on Diablo 4 real soon. We just doing this because, what's the joint of the day? Politics and money. So we got one thing talking about this, the Asian joint, and then like some kind of Candace Owens thing or some crap like that. We'll see if I agree or disagree.
So this is the article we're going to start off with. We got a few things to cover today. So you see this article here said viral images show people of color as anti-Asian perpetrators that misses a big picture. This was in NBC News. And
you got to understand, they even got they got Chinese community in Jamaica. They got a little Chinatown in the Dominican Republic, which is wow. So when they say Asian, I don't know if they're really talking about Chinese peeps, because those buildings there, they don't have those in Cambodia. You know what I mean? They don't really have those in Thailand either. Not like that. That's Chinese style. So, maybe they're just talking about Chinese people or people of Chinese descent.
Now they say
the Han peeps.
New analysis reveals misconceptions about perpetrators, victims, and the general environment around anti-Asian hate incidents, that these can have long-term consequences for racial solidarity. Now, I'm not going to read this whole thing, but I'm going to read part of it. Then we're going to go to her actual study.
We don't want to hear you read the whole thing,
while
bro.
News reports and social media perpetrate the idea that anti-Asian violence is committed mostly by, they say, people of color. No, you said Black Americans. Stop saying that crap. They say a new analysis shows the majority of attackers are white. They say Janelle Wong, professor, of American Studies at the University of Maryland, College Park, as they released analysis last week that drew on previously published studies on anti-Asian bias. It says she found official crime statistics and other studies revealed more than 3/4 of offenders of anti-Asian hate crimes and incidents from both before and during the pandemic have been white, contrary to many of the images circulating online. Let's go to her study, shall we?
Now, why is he talking about this? Because literally during the pandemic, like towards the end of the pandemic, not when it was people had the coof and driving like flies and all stuff like that. Like there was like mad news like, oh, blacks is like beating up Asians left and right and stuff like that. And that's why, because the media kept talking about it. That's why he's talking about it now, because now the statistics come out.
Shall we? So this is her study, Beyond the Headlines, prepared by Dr. Janelle Wong, Asian American Studies Program, University of Maryland. It was released 6/7/2021. She talked about her key takeaways with this. I'm not going to read this all the way through. I'm going to just point out things that's important to us. So as we scroll down here, they talk about the percentages of hate crimes, how they increased. But then when you break down the numbers in New York City, they say between 2019 and 2020, the largest increase in reported anti-Asian hate crimes were in New York City, 3 to 28. Now, you see the number, like if they don't tell you the actual numbers and say, boy, hate crimes increased on Asians 833%. You're like, oh my God, what is happening to them people? Then you look at the raw numbers and it shows 28. Now, of course, nobody should be attacked based on nobody's race, gender, disability, the different things that people are protected by. You shouldn't do that, okay? But 3 to 28. And Sacramento, 1 to 8. But on the headlines, they say, Asians were attacked in Sacramento, an increase of 700%. Do you see what happens when you break down the raw numbers? When they give you these percentages, when they give you, and they tell you per capita, say, I don't want that. Give me the raw numbers. Give me the raw data. Dang. I need that. I don't want to hear your per capita crap. I don't want to hear your percentages. Give me raw numbers, okay? That always usually get them. Come on. When you look at the raw numbers.
No, let's continue. Why? Okay.
They talk about how the racist incidents against other non-white groups demonstrate the endemic nature of hate faced by Asian Americans and other groups.
Weird.
Of course, they talked about law enforcement data in 2019, talking about anti-black hate crime reports. They say drop, but say black because black people make up a disproportionate share of hate crime victims. Black people were still the most targeted racial group. In 2019, 58% of the
Now I will say in New York there was there was a lot of like blacks, but I think it was mostly Caribbean blacks that were like attacking like Hasidic peeps. And the only reason I say Caribbean blacks is those are the peeps who usually live close to where like the Hasidic Jewish community live, is like mostly Caribbean peeps in Brooklyn. So you see, and it wasn't like attacking, like they up there beating people up. It's stupid kid stuff like knocking people's hat off and stuff like that. I think a lot of times it's like real sensitive. Like you had peeps in New York talking last week of like, oh, it's hate crimes because people threw flags on the floor. You know, like, and they're not talking about beating nobody out, robbing people, shooting people, spray can people. They're talking about when nobody's looking, somebody goes hee hee ha ha, breaks a little flag and throws it on the floor. I'm like, come on now. I don't even know if that's a hate crime or like if that's just like pettiness.
Reported hate crimes were motivated by anti-black bias. 14% were anti-Latino bias and 4% anti-Asian bias. Yet the Asians got a hate crime bill and we did not. The people that was attacked the most for anti-black hate did not get protection, but the people that were attacked.
Now that's the other thing which people are like talking about, like, you know, the Asians did get a Asian hate crime bill in the black stand. All right, so that's enough about this because I want a game real soon. Candace Owens podcast thing. All right. So Candace Owens is like a black conservative lady. She's of Caribbean descent. And the reason I say this is because now there's becoming a separation, like how I separated like Asians into their nationalities, that we're separating blacks and their nationalities as in Black Americans, Caribbeans, Africans, and stuff like that.
What's good, everybody? It's your boy, O'Shea Duke Jackson, back at it again.
Now, this is the political talk. The money talk deals with my man, CoffeeZilla. I got to see the end of that video.
In with another episode of the Celebrity Junk. Yesterday was Juneteenth, and of course,
well, not yesterday, like 4 days ago.
It is a day to
3 days ago.
Commemorate the fact that June 19th, 1865, which was actually 2 years late, in which African Americans officially started celebrating their freedom in Texas. And this marks...
Well, basically what happened was this. After the Civil War, which my grandmother's grandfather fought in, like peeps got their like liberation or whatever, right? But there were people still in bondage in Texas, and the Union soldiers had to go down there and say, yo, kid, you've been free for like 2 years, B. What you doing? Basically like that. So that's why the peeps in Texas were celebrating this at that date, because that was the date when the last peeps were actually told, yo, you can't do that no more.
158 years of that freedom, if you will, from slavery, or the celebration of Juneteenth.
Now, I'm not
of course, we have people.
Now, this is the difference. I'm not a Pan-Africanist. I'm like really like an American type dude. So, you know, you'll see peeps on Juneteenth wearing like African stuff. If they African, that's cool. Or they got ties to Africa, then that's cool. I have no ties to Africa unless I go there, because I was thinking about going to Kenya because, you know, they got no visa situation over there. We'll see what happens.
Community who don't agree with celebrating it. But I believe that those reasons, for however they are substantiated, come from a place of love. All right. I know Dr. Claude Anderson is over there talking about that with Dr. Boyce Watkins right now. And I have not listened to that. But the problem I'm going to have is with black conservatives. And one of the things that I've noticed is black conservatives are always trying to get black people to see the truth.
Well, remember, there's two types of black conservatives now. Hey, where's my hand? Yeah. There's two types of black conservatives. Might be more, but let's listen to who he's talking about.
And to join forces with them by humiliating blacks. This is something that I've noticed with several black conservatives. I'll name one today, Candace Owens, right? Whenever black conservatives say they want to win blacks, I really don't believe that's the case. Black conservatives want to keep good standing with white conservatives. And if you look at the majority of them, they're all married to whites, mostly. Hardly will you find black conservatives married to one another. They will always be.
Now, I will tell you one thing which is interesting. I sound racist. I almost married a white, but like that's how Dave Chappelle would say it. But she was cool. She wasn't the best joint, but I don't know. It's one of my friends did tell me when I had a black girlfriend. She was like, "My girlfriend's black? I'm surprised." I said, "Why?" She goes, I guess she didn't think I liked black girls or some crap like that. I don't know. And that's usually my type. Actually, darker black girls are my type with like wavy curly hair, like almost like Indian style type joints, or like Latin, Colombian / some Dominican style type joint.
Be married for the most part,
or Brazilian
to
type
whites.
joint.
And that already lets you know that individual is compromised. Okay? But Candace Owens is also hating on Juneteenth. Now, what I like to do is I want to play, this is a clip from what she said last year. She's also said the same thing this year. But let me go ahead and play that clip, and I'm going to come back.
I broke my very own record. I trended for 72 hours on Twitter. That's the longest I have ever trended on Twitter. And the reason was because I sent out a tweet. The tweet was, ready? Juneteenth is so lame. Internet fireworks. People were explosive. They couldn't believe that I would say that. Candace, don't you understand?
Yeah,
how could you?
That.
How dare you? Candace, you are a pawn. I don't like Juneteenth, and I'm going to tell you why I don't like Juneteenth, because I don't like things that are stupid. That's kind of really it. I don't like things that don't make sense. I don't like things that don't even have anything to do with the history that it claims to represent. If you're going to talk about celebrating the emancipation of slavery, weren't there some other more interesting dates that would maybe make more?
It's like acting like Thanksgiving is really Thanksgiving when you actually know what happened between the Pilgrims and the Natives. I don't know, her argument's silly, but
more sense. For example, first and foremost, of course, it was January 1st of 1863 that President Abraham Lincoln freed the slaves in rebel states through the Emancipation Proclamation.
So it's just a date. She just being all slick. I don't know. All right, let's keep going.
But we don't celebrate January 1st for anything other than New Year's Day. We don't hear any chatter about the Emancipation Proclamation. That would maybe make a...
Because New Year's Day, everybody's got hangovers and it wouldn't make an impact on that day. What people gonna do after drinking? And after drinking all night for New Year's, they gonna go out and celebrate. Man, come on now, you know better than that.
A little more sense. But what about December 18th, 1865? That was the date that Congress and the states outlawed slavery throughout the country with the ratification and proclamation of the 13th Amendment. That would seem like a perfect date if you wanted to actually celebrate.
Maybe, but during that time, there's a lot of holidays. Thanksgiving, then you got Christmas, and that would be like in between those dates where you can't really have money to celebrate those things because you've been spending all your money on Christmas things. This day right here, you got money to celebrate. It's summertime. It makes more sense.
But nope, the left instead has landed on June 19th, 1865, which is being called, of course, Juneteenth.
Now,
and I think it's like
this is the
Freedom
reason
Day because it's when the last slaves were actually free. Because all the laws don't mean anything if peeps are still in bondage. You know what I'm saying? It's like making a law against murder and people are still getting killed. You know what I mean? People still don't feel safe until the cops catch the serial killer. You know what I'm saying? I don't know. Sometimes, yeah, it's what she thinks is different.
Agree with it, let it be. But I had to type in Candace Owens Black History Month because I wanted to know if Candace Owens has a valid reason, or let me say it for this, does she hate on Black History Month and does she have a valid reason? So voila, here's a tweet. When Black History Month came around, it goes this. It's hashtag Black History Month, the month where a bunch of people who know nothing about Black history take the time to celebrate people like Frederick Douglass, but have never read any of his works.
That might be true.
So
Who knows?
this is February 1st, 2021.
I read his work.
If you guys listen to that clip from the
back in the
Candace Owens
days.
podcast, you hear all those whites laughing in the background? Or what we would consider we think is whites, or at least 50% whites. It would have to be that, right? Those people are not blacks laughing
Well, I think
at
it's a
the
laugh
fact
track. I
that
don't think
she's
it's actually
trashing
laughing.
Juneteenth. Now, if you want to look at why black people have nothing in America, black conservatives like Candace Owens
But she's not
are
black
just
American,
as much
though.
a part of the problem as black liberals. Because see, neither mindset owns anything in black America. Okay? The black liberal says it's white supremacy holding me back while trying to integrate into the white system. The black conservative is just doing it outright and saying everything is your fault, but want to integrate. Both systems of thought keep black people poor and destitute. Because anybody who
So I
doesn't
basically
value
know what he's
themselves,
thinking, what she said. It's interesting. I didn't hear that. All right, come on. Let this next one be CoffeeZilla. All right.
Family and fellow soldiers, I'm the
What is this
professor,
about?
and
Judge
this
rules
is
cop
the
can't
moment
use
of
qualified immunity. All right, so what is qualified immunity? I'm conservative, so I don't disagree with qualified immunity because I don't think you'd get people to be police officers if they could be penalized with every single split-second decision that they make. Now, can quality immunity should be taken away in certain instances? Yes, if there's like time to make a decision. You know what I mean? Like if you actually have time to make a decision and it's not a split second decision, then yeah. If you had time to think about a situation, you shouldn't get qualified immunity because you had time to actually make an intelligent, trained decision or untrained decision, but you're a cop, so you should know what to do. You know what I mean? If it's like a split second decision, then that's different, right? Like they had a case in New York City where this African dude, well, you had these undercover cops like rolling around looking for some rapist dude or some crap like that. Who knows? I don't know. But this dude was coming home late at night from work. You know what I mean? Like 11 o'clock. People have schedules. Like the schedule in New York is usually like, well, in like the joint where I leave to go to work, it's 7 to 3, then 3 to 11, then 11 to 7. Or it's 8 to 4, 4 to 12, and then midnight to 8. You know what I mean? So you have a whole bunch of people coming home at like 1 o'clock at night, 12:30, sometimes 1:30 in the morning, coming home from a regular job. So he comes home from a regular job. They tell him to turn around and freeze. He was trying to get into his house. He turned around and I guess he thought they wanted to know asked him for his identification. So he took out his wallet. One of the cops tripped, misfired his gun. I guess they thought it came from him. And they all started blasting, blah, 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 blah. But my whole thing in that situation, the cops caused the situation because you didn't have to approach him because he wasn't doing a crime. You were just suspecting him. And I think that's one thing which has to happen. You got to hold in that probable cause. That's what I don't believe in. The immense ability for them to have probable cause, because it gives them too much responsibility and it gives too much leeway for them to do damage to citizens' rights. You know what I mean? But qualified immunity, I think you have to have it in general for split-second decisions and all that good stuff like that. So let's see why he got this. Oh God, it's Florida. We'll see what happens.
In 2020, as protests and uprisings broke out nationwide, people took to the streets, and that includes in the banana republic of Ron DeSantis' Florida.
Republic.
In
This
Fort
dude is
Lauderdale,
hilarious.
people like LaToya Ratliff took part in protests, and the police attacked those demonstrators One thug in particular, named Steve Poherence, who has a history of use of force incidents against the public, walked up to the protesters and assaulted one of them. Clearly, he's the point man for when the Fort Lauderdale PD wants to attack protesters, and then when the protesters defend.
See, now I'm not like a BLM supporter. You know what I mean? I believe in the statement, but not the organization. But I still don't believe you should be going up to peeps and just like assaulting them because they don't do what you say when you want them to say it. It's like, that's kind of like fascist.
Defend themselves, the police can claim, oh, things got out of hand, so we had to use tear gas, and etc. This bastard Poherence shoved a black woman who was kneeling on the ground.
Oh,
The
wow.
demonstrators allegedly threw water bottles in retaliation. Yeah, you heard me right. Water bottles. Not bricks or rocks or even glass bottles, but plastic bottles. And those
they can't
plastic
weigh a
bottles
lot
of
if
water
they're
were
heavy.
apparently so life-threatening that the criminals in the Fort
Life-threatening.
Lauderdale PD opened
Damn.
fire with rubber bullets.
Oh,
Well,
wow.
it makes sense that the police would be scared of water. Most of those pigs haven't had a bath since forever.
Wow,
But
that's
just
cold.
to show that their intent was lethal, the thugs in blue fired rubber bullets directly into the faces of the
head.
protesters.
Ooh.
Now, there have been tons of these incidents that have happened over the decades, and everybody in the police departments and sheriff's departments know that you
Damn, with the
cannot
body.
and must not fire so-called non-lethal rounds or non-lethal projectiles at people's faces, because they do fire at near the speed of a bullet. But that's the entire reason that they do
Cause,
it.
like permanent damage.
Miss Ratliff was struck in the eye
goddamn.
with one of those projectiles, wounding
Is
her
she blind?
grievously. It all but put her eye out. She was maimed by this animal Ramos, and she today is having to deal with permanent injuries.
Yeah.
Now, this creep was carrying out the directives given to him by the racists who run that cesspool, and since this is
Ooh,
moron DeSantis'
let's have
Florida,
some
the local
fun.
pig patrol
This
declared that
chatbot
the
is
attempted
here.
murder of
Oh,
Latoya
Darius, what you
Ratliff was
said?
justified.
Watch the Saint
The
and the
interim police
Sinners?
chief was feeling his oats, and he said that this attempted
Do you mean that VR game of what do you call it? The Walking Dead? The Saints and the Sinners. I'll
murderer
look that
had
up
been
next.
exonerated. Now, the word exonerated typically applies only to a trial jury, and this mindless thug Ramos was exonerated, quote unquote, by the very police department who had him carry out his.
Okay, so I basically got the gist of this. Y'all can look that up. YouTube news channel, The Saints and the Sinners. Look it up. Sorry, it's taking too long. I don't know why the internet's all dang slow. Saints and the there it goes. The Saints and the Sinners. Well, the Saints and Sinners, but we'll come on, chop, chop, chop. Just say fact check ex prostitutes. All right, let's see. Be yourself. Be good to yourself. Be good to people. Be good to good people. That's interesting to actually say. Be good to good people. You know what I mean? I remember that's where I can't be a reaction joint for reaction. That's two reactions of a reaction. But one thing I do have to do is I have to, because I want to see this one, but I'll see it later. I have to see the last part of this CoffeeZilla joint. Talking about this scam. All right. I click on the right one? Don't think so. Video games. That was a good video though. All right, chop chop. All right, here you go.
I'm sorry. The finale of this video got a little messy. And it's gonna be up to you to put the pieces together. Things might be a bit out of order.
We now learn of this savant that is the man behind Trader's Domain.
It took me weeks to go through all the documents. But eventually, a pattern started to emerge.
I was in my room one day and I overheard a conversation and I thought I caught something about B-booking, switching people from A-book to B-book. And so I asked Dave about it and he blatantly said to me, he's like, yeah, if people are going to be losing, we might as well B-book them because we're just leaving money on the table.
We traced even more money that had come in. According to them, roughly 450 million went into Trader's Domain.
Coffee's.
Now remember, I'm still in crypto, right? I still got some money. I just put some money in it. Last week I bought Polygon when it was like stupid dumb low. We'll see what happens with it. I mean, what is it now? The whole Polygon. Ooh, everything's up now. Yeah, so I'm making money. Actually, that's probably the only thing I'm making money on, because everything else like flopped like crazy. But you know, I mean, it's not like a lot. Only like what, maybe $100 or something like that. I got in profit.
I don't think he's ever dealt with someone my size before, and nobody knows anything about his family because they don't have the resources I have.
Ooh, because he's threatening peeps like that, kid.
Hello?
Episode 3. Ooh-wee. I like the graphics he uses, though. It's kind of interesting.
I knew immediately it was Ted. I could tell his voice. I raced to the office, but you could tell by what I was wearing, I wasn't expecting the conversation.
Hey, Steve, how you doing?
Hey, Ted, thanks for taking the time, man. I appreciate it.
Yeah, no problem. I'll keep it quick with you. No problem.
You weren't ready for it, but you've been on this case for months.
Oh, I was prepared for it. I just wasn't expecting it. I mean, he seemed really hostile at first, and like he was just trying to get me off the phone real quick.
So obviously, mission 1?
Right. Keep the guy talking.
I guess since you don't have a lot of time, let me just start firing off some questions for you, and you'll forgive me if you know they're hard questions, but I think, you know, given the time constraint, let's make sure we get to the good stuff. You know.
I mean, I'll clarify items up until 2020, because after 2020, I was no longer the owner of the platform, so I don't know what happened with the platform. And I think, just to be honest with you, before we continue, obviously I've spoken to my counsel. We know about your YouTube channel now. We reviewed it. I mean, there's really nothing of substance on there, to be honest. I think it's more of a glorified just clickbait channel. I see what you've done. You've taken a lot of the local hot topics for the time and tried to monetize it. So I mean, I appreciate your effort. I think what you're going to do is you're going to have a hard time with this fact-finding mission due to the people that you're working with. So I'll let you do what you need to do. That's why I said we only needed 5 minutes. I can't really entertain your conversation because there's really no merit for it in my situation.
Okay, wait a second. Back up. Ted said he doesn't own Trader's Domain anymore?
Because after 2020, I was no longer the owner of the platform.
How's that possible?
You know, I was actually expecting this. When I was going back through all those documents, I saw him trying to set this up. It's kind of a lot to explain.
Might as well bore me. No one else in here's going to. Bar's dead tonight.
All right, I'll tell you. Have you ever heard of the Panama Papers?
Panama Papers? Sure. Big news story in 2016. Leaked papers show that rich people own everything. Not exactly a headline if you ask me.
No, that's not the real story. We knew they owned everything. The real headline was that they kept it offshore, and the question is, how did they keep that a secret?
I don't know. Good lawyers?
More like bad laws. In places like Panama, you could own a company, but not be on the paperwork.
And that's useful how?
Well, you can hide millions in companies you control, but if anyone asks you about it, you're off the books.
I see. The true owner is hidden.
That's right. It's called beneficial ownership, and the Panama Papers was just the start.
Okay, I get that. But what does this have to
like
do
the
with
blacklist.
Trader's Domain?
Well, our friend Ted decided to use a similar playbook. Check this out. Here are the founding documents of Trader's Domain. In it, we see the first director's minutes where Ted Sifranco and David Negus got in this whole thing. They both get half the company's shares. But here's the key thing. In January 14, 2020, something changes. A new director gets appointed, someone named Arthie Kaniger, and watch this. After he gets in, Ted resigns.
Oh, and it's in January 14th, 2020. That's why he says he doesn't own it.
That's right. But also, I found another document, dated a little later, 3 days later, in fact. An acknowledgement letter admitting that he was the ultimate beneficial owner of Trader's Domain.
Wait, doesn't that mean he still controls it?
Yes, exactly.
So this new director...
Don't worry about it. I had to turn on and off my monitor. I don't know why that's affecting everything else. Okay, anyway, that was weird. The freak? Okay, oops.
is just the fall guy.
Yes, now you're getting it. It's
Wait,
what
wait,
I
wait.
want.
Let me rewind it a little bit.
Later, 3 days later, in fact,
3
an
days later.
acknowledgement letter admitting that he was the ultimate beneficial owner of Trader's Domain.
Wait, then doesn't that mean he still controls it?
Yes, exactly.
So this new director is just the fall guy.
Yes, now you're getting it. It's what I wanted to tell Ted in the first place.
You know, I rarely give you compliments, but I really think you got him.
I thought he did, but Ted wasn't going to go down without a fight.
Also, you said that in 2020 you signed over the account, but I have an acknowledgement letter from you that says that you actually are the ultimate beneficiary owner. Do you want to address that?
No, because it's not true.
So this signature on January 17th, 2020, where you acknowledge that all legal actions which may be taken by the company's director, which you did sign over the director or shareholder, including but not limited to signing of agreements, documents, are confirmed by and agreed with me as the company's UBO, and I have full control over directors or shareholders' actions. And this is your signature at the bottom. Is that fake?
Wow.
Yeah, because was that document stamped?
I'm sorry, you're saying this signed document from you is fake.
All corporations have a seal. So is there a seal on that
Oh
document?
my God! You don't have to use a document
Okay,
seal
so
on
like I said,
documents.
Ted, you know, Ted, why would somebody fake your signature on this? Come on.
The reason why that my passport's been passed around that's expired. The reason why there's documents of mine that've been expired and
Well, he's
passed around.
Canadian,
Yeah, I mean, like I said, please go on a better fact-finding mission.
Oh, what is he talking about now?
Well, check this out. Ted is basically saying that the document we have isn't valid because it doesn't have a seal that looks like this on the document, where ours just has his signature.
Woo! This guy is slick, Coffee.
I think his ability to lie is both his strength and his weakness, though. I mean, yes, he is very good, but probably also why he picked up the phone in the first place.
Oh, he thought he could bluff past you.
Right. And he's actually done it before. In digging through Ted's documents, I found I wasn't the only person he tried this trick on. Back in 2019, the Ontario Securities Commission even investigated him.
You mean like the Canadian government?
Yep. They already looked into him, and Ted lied his way out of it. I even have the emails to prove it. I mean, check this out. At the time, Ontario was concerned about Trader's Domain soliciting Canadian investors in 2019. So Ted said they didn't have that many and they'd be removing them from the platform by July 1st.
And then what?
And then that was that. I mean, it was over.
So what? They just stopped taking Canadian clients?
Oh, of course not. The investigation stopped. But I found people being recruited from Canada as early as directly after the fact. People like Armand, a customer who said he was from Ontario and wanted to sign up, and he said there was no option for it. And so they replied, just use crypto as the country
the country code, yeah.
Same thing happened with another Canadian. When he asked how to open an account, their response was, please use crypto as the country code.
I can't believe they got away with this.
I can't
Yeah,
believe people
well,
fell
it actually
for
gets
it.
worse because in 2021, Ontario decided to investigate them again.
No way. This time they caught them though, right?
Nope. Ted lied again. He told the investigator, "Hope all is well. We're not affiliated with this organization since early 2020."
Wow.
Huh. That's what he told you too.
Correct. And I think that that's why Ted and David pulled this trick in the first place, to avoid the feds.
Of course. Now that you mention it, they were first investigated in 2019. So in 2020, they do this.
He's already gotten away with it twice.
So what are you gonna do different?
Well, this time we have a bit more evidence. We got that signed document, but we also have, even better, a video from Ted saying he owns Trader's Domain after he wasn't supposed to.
So Kilkridge is located offshore. It is owned over here by myself.
You haven't been able to explain why this isn't the case. It seems to me that you're on the record saying you own Trader's Domain after 2020, right? You're on the record saying that on video. I can send you the video if you want. Then we've got you a signed document saying that you're the ultimate beneficiary owner. And then we have to ask ourselves, why would you resign from a company that's making so much money to some sham director?
Yeah.
Did you sign it over out of the goodness of your heart? Or did you sign it over and secure control?
I didn't sign over the company for the goodness of my heart. There was a sale made. So once again, like I said, you don't really have your facts.
How much money did you make from Trader's Domain?
$0.
What?
So you started it and you just sort of profited nothing. You didn't make a dime.
I mean, I've had businesses that's done
You
that.
say you sold Trader's Domain in 2020. That's what you say.
How much?
How much did you sell it for?
I think it was 40,000.
Right. But what I'm asking you is, why would you sell a company that has millions of dollars in deposits, is a successful offshore foreign exchange brokerage? Why would you sell that for $40,000?
Because I had bigger plans.
Why wouldn't you sell Trader's Domain for its true book value?
Because I don't care about money.
Okay.
Maybe you care about money. I don't.
Oh, brother, this guy's a liar.
Yeah, you don't say.
Well, what does he care about?
According to him, the downfall of society.
I don't agree with society at all. I think a lot of people, including yourself, are very delusional in terms of what you think society is doing.
What do you think society's doing?
Well, you're contributing to it.
But contributing to what?
The downfall of society through social media. And through the ability of people like yourself to generate revenue based on what I would say maybe the hysteria is the wrong word, or maybe, the latest gossip, the latest information.
Ted,
you're monetized.
you aren't the latest gossip.
Yeah, so you're monetizing.
This is a gigantic Ponzi scheme where people are suffering. Doesn't any of that matter to you?
Once again, this is your benefit, not mine.
No. What I'm saying is, a bunch of clients come to me. They say there's this giant Ponzi scheme. Ted Safranco runs it. I find your name over all the documents. Then I come to you and you're telling me, oh, this is a salacious thing. This is just gossip. This is news of the day. If a $300 million Ponzi scheme, or let's say the CFTC's, right, a $145 million Ponzi scheme, let's even say it's a $10 million Ponzi scheme. If a $10 million Ponzi scheme's not worth talking about, what is?
The lack of family value, the way that people try and destroy other people's lives by
But Ted,
doing...
don't you think that the person who ran this Ponzi scheme destroyed people's lives? Don't you
probably
think
have
they're
to talk
contributing
to
to the
them.
destruction of family values? Well,
I think when you look at this circumstance, as you call it, a Ponzi, whatever you're investigating, maybe ask those clients of yours that you're investigating if they had free will to make decisions.
Wow.
And maybe
but
you'll
if they
get a
were
different...
misled, right? If they were misled and lied to.
By who?
Well, by you, Ted.
By me?
Yeah, by you. Can you believe it?
Can you believe it? I can't believe this. I can't believe any of it.
Neither could any of the victims I spoke to.
What do you think about, maybe it's your responsibility because it's your free will to invest?
He's pushed that narrative before in the chat, making like nobody ever saw solicited any money or anything like that.
Yeah,
But
hold on one
that's all
second,
bull-
peeps. I'll just shrink it
That
up a
is
little
such
bit.
a chicken response from a total coward. Oh my god. So no accountability at all.
I mean, this is sociopathic behavior, right? This is what
Yeah,
a real
probably.
sociopath does. They detach themselves from their behavior and they blame their victims.
I was getting angry at this point, given the disconnect between the damage this guy caused and the absolute lack of empathy.
Did you at least show him that damage?
I mean, I tried to.
When a guy tells me that his brother mortgaged his house to invest in Trader's Domain, you don't feel like you have any culpability with that.
Why would you do
Who
that?
told them to mortgage the house?
Yeah, I mean,
They're trying to better their lives. You understand that, right? To support
Well-
probably ostensibly his family. You know, you talk about caring about these family values. Ted, this guy's trying to support his family. Don't you think that's
By
a good
mortgaging
thing?
his house? Not really. You're taking shelter and you're
To
abusing it.
invest money. A mom put $10,000 to try to invest in her kids' tuition. Do you not care about
So-
any of this? These
Oh,
family value,
you're-
these families.
Well, I'm thinking right now you're giving me two situations where people have made poor choices, and now
To trust
I
you as the owner of the Pam account and the person who ran it.
wow.
once again couldn't tell you.
I mean, we have you on video saying you ran it, so we don't have to trust you on this. I'm just stating what you said. I'm just repeating your words back to you. So you don't feel any culpability for what you did there. I mean, you're saying I'm destroying the fabric of, family values. Don't you think you are?
No.
Damn. And I thought I was heartless.
It's honestly frightening.
Even though I'm
to hear
heartless,
someone
Duke.
like that on the other end of the line. It's like talking to a shell of a human being. No offense.
None taken.
Did you run the Pam account?
Which one?
Any of them? Did you run any of the Pam, the high risk Pam account, the one that was trading so well?
I don't know.
You don't know if you were running it or not?
You don't know.
How long we run the PAM system for? I don't know. I mean, people have liked it. I don't mind doing it. It's not difficult for me to trade. Trading's easy for me. It'll be basically, when I decide I'm bored.
So you say, quote, how
Have
long
you-
will you run the PAM system for? I don't know. People have liked it. I don't mind doing it. It's not difficult for me to trade. Trading's easy for me.
Wow.
It'll basically be, when I decide I'm bored. That wasn't you.
Don't know what context that is.
But you're just, I'm reading you the quote. It's you talking about the PAM system. You're saying, talking about trading in the PAM. You're saying you ran it.
Don't remember that.
I don't remember. How convenient.
Yeah, the funny thing is, the victim said he was just talking to them about trading.
I'm in chats right now on Telegram where he's claiming to be still today. He's still in there actively saying that he's trading. There are a couple of bad days happened and he's like saying, you guys are stressing me out. I'm getting thousands of DMs from angry people. Do you think I'm not going to have a hard time trading with all this pressure and stress? So he's still claiming he's the trader. So the fact that he's telling you that he's not aware if he's ever traded on that, I mean, it's just, who traded then, dude? Who's the trader?
At this point, I don't know what to do.
Is the
Ted's
phone
basically
laggy?
pleading dementia. I don't
No, the
recall.
phone's not laggy.
Sounds like pleading the fifth to me.
It's pretty surprising coming from Mr. Family Values because ultimately, that's who is hurt by all this, is the families.
Do you think it's wrong that Algo Capital told its clients that it was running an algorithm bot when in actual fact it was just you trading the PAM?
Whatever they told their clients, you probably have to ask them about. I wouldn't know what they're telling their clients.
I do think I should ask about it. I'm just asking for your value judgment. Do you think they're destroying family values with that, perhaps?
How they decide to run their business, if that's what they're doing, that's up to them. I don't judge other people.
Oh, come on. You were judging me a second ago.
Well, yeah, because you actually do something that I've researched. I don't know what those people do.
He doesn't know. What? He's the one taking money from them.
Yeah, I know. Our conversation at this point had basically run its course. He'd stopped giving me real answers. Although, when he got the last word, I found it funny what he was still focused on. Mr. Family Values was still talking about the money.
Well, this has been a very educational call, believe it or not. Thank you for your time.
Yeah, good luck with the monetization.
Okay. All right. Thanks, Dad. Good luck with your $300 million Ponzi scheme.
Monetization. Simple.
Pretty good tape. You can hear he's rattled, Coffee. But...
Oh, what now?
Well, like you said, what now? Ted denies everything. Government already investigated him twice and failed.
All right, so I'm gonna end it here. 1848. Gotta play this Diablo. Gotta catch up with Michi. Let me see. Hopefully it doesn't do the lagalicious thing. All right, so let's see what's up. Let's see if it's lag, and then I have to. Ooh, that's what I have to do. I have to make sure the Wi-Fi is off. Okay, good. Wi-Fi is turned off. There we go. A little bit of Diablo. Ooh-wee. If we could choppity chop chop. Yeah. I have to replace the wire. I think that's what maybe has to happen. Yeah, all right, let me quit the stream for just 1 second. Let me replace this wire.